Hey, welcome everyone. It looks like we've had a few more people join, and I'm sure we'll have more people join as the webinar continues on. But we have a very tight schedule, so I want to stick to the agenda. So I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name's Heidi Baxley. I'm the chair of the Utah Prevention Coalition Association. Especially big welcome to all of our Utah PTA partners. Thanks for tuning into this webinar. We're really excited about all the fun information we have to share today. I think it'll be really interesting for coalitions. I wanted to put a quick plug in for our Utah Prevention Coalition Association. We have two open positions right now on the executive committee, one for a funding chair. Um, that position really focuses on finding funding opportunities for coalitions and helps to gather those up and send them out. Time commitment would be an hour or two a month. We have a reoccurring monthly meeting that the executive committee does. And then the second position is the PR, the outreach manager. So not manager, chair. What that position entails is helping us to keep the Facebook page updated, maybe creating some event information or putting together flyers or things like that. Probably about the same, a 2 hour commitment a month. But these are great volunteer positions. Really great if you want to get more involved with prevention on a statewide level and are interested in meeting more people from around the state. We would love to have you. So if you're interested or if you have an idea of someone in your area that would be a great fit, please reach out and let us know. Feel free to put it in the chat or on Facebook, send us a message or email us. We would love to have you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our webinar today, Utah PTA and UPCA creating partnerships in your area. Here is our meeting itinerary. Of course, I will give you a very brief overview of the UPCA, then I'll turn the time over to Julie Clough from the Utah PTA, who will do an introduction about PTA. Then we'll turn the time over to Sharday Jones, who will be talking about building relationships with PTA in her area. Then Riley Nyman and Becca Crookston will talk about the success of working with PTA in their area. And then we'll turn the time over to Erin Anderson, who's going to share some experiences with PTA. And then Jill Ramage and Christy Bell will share with us more information about their school partnership with Bonneville CTC. So, what is the Utah Prevention Coalition Association? Well, essentially, it is a coalition of coalitions. So, years ago, probably about 10 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more, some of our OG prevention advocates in the state, I'm thinking your Logans, your Robs, you guys remember Kai, those awesome folks were at a national training and they realized that what we needed in our state was a way to unify coalitions, especially when big things were happening. I'm thinking like policies or rule changes. We needed a way to mobilize coalitions and get us all on the same page. And so out of that idea, the UPCA was born, and not long after, they started providing the Bryce Canyon Coalition Summit and other training opportunities, and it's just been amazing ever since. So the UPCA is just a great way for coalitions to come together when we need to, and to be able to network with each other when we've got troubleshooting or issues in our area and we need help. It's so nice to be able to reach out and say, hey, Sharday, here's what's happening in my area. How did you handle this in your area? Like, it's just an amazing resource for coalitions. Our mission is to provide training and promote a sustainable future for substance use prevention coalitions. We're united in mobilizing community coalitions to reduce substance use risk factors, increase protective factors, and improve mental health by using evidence-based primary prevention strategy. And those are big buzzwords in prevention, but they're very important to us because we want to make sure that the things that we're doing are effective and we're not causing any harm in our communities. The way that Utah is broken up for prevention is into 13 different local area substance use authorities. And you can kind of see on the map here on the screen how it's broken up. So I'm down here in Southwest. Each area has a prevention coordinator, or in Southwest, we have two because it's such a large area. And this prevention coordinator oversees the prevention services and the staff in their area. So you can see that we've got 13. So if you're interested in finding out more about prevention services in your area, what they look like, and who to talk to, you could definitely reach out to the prevention coordinator in your area, and they can give you more information about the coalitions in the area as well. And then I should also mention we have 5 regional directors in Utah that help support these areas and the coalitions in the areas. Um, and the last thing I wanted to mention is we have an awesome website, utahprevention.org, which is a great resource for finding out more information about adult coalitions in your area. And soon we'll have all our youth coalitions added to this as well. That is the goal. But as you can see from the map, we've got almost, I want to say, 80 coalitions that focus on substance use and mental health/suicide prevention throughout the state of Utah. It's really grown in the last 10 years, especially with the addition of the OPG funding. I know that's one of the things that the state is really working on is expanding services throughout Utah, and coalitions are a great way to do that. So anyway, if you're interested in joining coalitions in your area, please use that website or reach out to the LSAAs. I know they would love to have you as part of the coalition. So, unless anyone has any questions, I'm going to turn the time over to Julie, who's going to tell us more about the Utah PTA. And Julie, feel free to tell me whenever you want the slide switched.
I have a little
Awesome.
question.
Oh,
May I have a
sure.
little question? I work for them. I'm the manager for the Spanish American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and we teach classes. We have the walks. What should I
Awesome.
do? What do I need to do to be on the website so people can use our services as a way to as a resource? Like we do classes, a lot
Uh-huh.
of classes, even on Zoom, and all of them are certified. I just got certified also to teach naloxone to the Latinx because we don't have many people that speak Spanish. So
Amazing.
I would like to share, how do we do it?
I have your email address, Sergio. I'll reach out
Okay,
and I'll send you the
awesome.
list of all the things that I need to, and then that we can just add you to
Okay,
the website. Thank
I
you.
will love it. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Does anyone else have any questions before we turn the time over to Julie?
I would be interested in the same thing as Sergio.
Okay, Wendy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you an email. Thank you. Okay, awesome.
Awesome. I love this. I love the connections that are made with these kind of things. This is really cool. So, my name is Julie Clough. I am Utah PTA President elect, and I've been asked to share just a little bit about Utah PTA and how Prevention Coalition partners can partner with us at a local level and a state level. So, Utah PTA has a long history of strong advocacy and programming, and that really stems from our mission. If you've ever been to a Utah PTA event, or a meeting, we always start our meeting with reciting our mission, which is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging, empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. That really is at the heart of what we do. And each time I read this, a different word tends to stand out to me. And many have felt the same way, but we really are about empowering our families to work with the broader community to help all of our children reach their full potential. And partnerships with these coalitions are a great way to do that. I wanted you guys to know a few things about us. You know, we have been around for 100 years now in Utah, but at a national level, we've been around for almost 130 years as well. And really, at the heart of where we started was advocacy, wanting what was best for our kids in health and safety realms. And that has moved to education as well. Um, Something about some of our PTA members. They are some of the scrappiest, well meaning individuals. They are so engaged in PTA and throughout their communities. If they're doing something in PTA, they're likely doing something in 5 other things as well. And so they really are just connected and just service oriented people. And we as a PTA strive to provide opportunities for our leaders to support so that they can engage their communities. Part of that is being a member. So if you are on this call today and you haven't joined a PTA this year, the QR code on the screen will take you to our join page and you can find a local PTA or school within your community and join. They would love to have your support. And being a member doesn't mean that you have to do anything, but add your voice to theirs to make our organization stronger. So next slide. So Utah PTA just recently restructured. We have kind of shifted around how we are going to help service all of our areas of our state. We have 4 areas, and within those 4 areas, they are subdivided into 11 regions. Most of the regions are at a school district level, but some of them have several school districts within one to meet those needs. Each one of those regions are assigned a group of councils and local units, and so they really are charged to help those councils and local units meet the needs of their members and their students. Next. So a little bit about PTA. So PTA stands for Parent Teacher Association, but it also kind of is at the heart of what we do, which is programs, training, and advocacy. Some of you may have heard of some of the programs and the advocacy work that we've done. Maybe you've heard of Reflections or a Battle of the Bands. These programs give kids great opportunities to be recognized for the work, and they're just total awesome. Other programs also engage families to empower student support at home and to increase engagement between home and school. All PTAs are active partners within their schools in creating school climates and culture that help every kid feel like they belong. Training is an important part of PTA and one that I'm particularly invested in. As a state PTA, one of our goals is to provide opportunities for PTA members to engage in lifelong learning opportunities. PTA has taught me how to effectively advocate for my own children, and then it taught me how the skills to teach others to do the same. Training is key, and partnerships like these help train our parents to advocate for our children better. Probably less well known is our advocacy work, and we have a dedicated advocacy team within Utah PTA that not only work with community partners statewide, but also look at legislation at a state and federal level. Last year at the state level, there were over 900 bills introduced in the 5-week session of the legislative session. We looked at and followed 100 bills this year and worked to advocate to make things better for our kids, our schools, and our communities. And that really is a legacy that we are built upon. We are bridging the past with the future so that we can make an important step for our kids in the future. And part of that is, again, partnerships like these with these local coalitions. If you would like to learn more about any of the programming or training or advocacy that Utah PT does, the QR code will take you to our website, and you can also just go to our website, which is utahpta.org. Next. So I'm just going to wrap up. A few things that you do need to know. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We cannot lobby, but we are advocates. We, as an independent organization, we are independent from the schools, but we are partners and guests in the schools, so we do have to follow their guidelines and their rules, but it is a powerful partnership, and we are so grateful to be there. Something else, PTA is scrappy. Like, we always find a way to get the things done that we want to do. So if there is something that we want to do, we are going to find a way to get it done. And we're going to do with little to nothing. And this is, again, what we love about these kind of partnerships. We love reaching out to our community and bringing our community into our schools and helping us make opportunities for our kids available. And we just really appreciate your knowledge and your willingness to help us fulfill our mission. And again, I'm just going to put a little plug in. If you're not a member of PTA, please join us. This is our 100-year anniversary, and we have a huge goal to have 100,000 members in our state this year. So every member does count, especially this year. So if you haven't had that opportunity, we would love for you to join us. And I will turn the time over to Roy.
Thanks, Julie. Does anybody have any questions for Julie before we move on? We'll have time for questions at the end as well, but if you've got something that you need to ask right now, burning questions, it's a good time. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Julie. All right, I'm excited to turn the time over to Sharday Jones from Roy CTC, who's going to tell us more about how they've worked with PTA in their area.
Hey, thanks, Heidi. Hello, everyone. So I'm Sade. I'm the coordinator for the Roy CTC in Roy City. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we've managed to begin to build a relationship with our area PTA. So getting started with that, go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so how we did that is we found a PTA champion. So we made a connection at a local event and provided some information about what the CTC is and why it works. So that's one reason it's really important for us to get out into our communities and be a part of those events and communities, because you never know who you might meet and come across. So that's kind of how we got that started. So, and then we met them where they were. So, as Julie was mentioning, our PTA parents and members, they do a lot. So, we didn't want to put too much on them and ask them to come to our stuff and what they could do for us. So we met them where they were, and we offered to attend their next area meeting just to share more about what we do and how we could support their mission. And while we were there, we did present to them, and we just demonstrated a goal alignment between our organizations, which was supporting and engaging families and our communities and advocating and empowering youth. So we kind of shared that same vision and mission and goal between us, and we offered some solutions. So we addressed a need for funding to support their Red Ribbon Week activities. So in our area, we are still trying to figure out how to implement more prevention awareness, especially in our elementary schools. And we thought Red Ribbon Week would be an opportunity to support our elementary schools in implementing some of that prevention and the awareness. So we did offer our 8 elementary schools some Red Ribbon Week funding to help them implement programs and activities during Red Ribbon Week. So that was something that would support them in getting the supplies that they needed and the activities, getting those done. And then we're also just helping to share our parent workshops and opportunities to address other gaps in resources that they have. So our partnership is very new, but we do have a member of the PTA on our coalition who helps us keep up to date on what the PTA is doing and provides us more support about how we can continue to partner with them. Next slide, please. So our Roy PTA champion is Farah. So some of you guys might know her. Farah Muhammad, she is a parent of a student that attends Roy Junior High, and she's also part of the Utah PTA board. So she's currently the Community Engagement Commissioner, the Roy Council President, the Roy Junior High PTSA President, and she's also the Roy High PTA President-elect. So she's very involved, and she helps us get, like I said, that information about what's going on with the PTAs and how we can get involved. And for our coalition, she serves as a coalition member, and she's part of our community board maintenance work group as the co-chair. And we've dubbed her the recognition specialist because she understands through her experience with the PTA how important it is to make sure that we're recognizing our youth and our coalition members. And her superpower and why we love partnering with Farah is because she's our connector. So she keeps us in the loop. Like I said, we can't be everywhere, but she makes sure to that she loops us into what's going on. She's a mom, so she really cares about what's going on with our youth in our cone. And she's also an advocate. So she is always the first one to speak up and when things aren't going the way that she wants them to, or that we want to see it with our youth. So again, that advocacy piece that Julie spoke about, she's our champion in that way. So we're happy to have her. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about sustaining the relationship. This is when we first went out and presented to our local area PTA members about the coalition, giving them some of the background, science, why it works, all that good stuff. We continue to sustain this relationship by creating opportunities for collaboration between the two groups. So again, just staying up to date, keeping them engaged in emails, what the coalition's doing, and vice versa, sharing relevant information. Because we are the prevention experts in our area, we want to make sure that we're sharing the information about what we're doing, also about what's going on in the state, and from you all at UPCA and our local substance abuse authorities as well, and just being consistent. So just continuously following up with them, inviting them to our events, and making sure that they have a space to get the word out about the PTA, and asking for their input because they are such strong advocates of our students and for our schools. We want to just make sure that we're always receiving input from them on what they're seeing, because sometimes they're more closely linked to the schools and in the schools than we are. So we want to make sure that they have a seat at the table. And just sharing success. So if there's anything that the PTA is doing that we can share with the community, that we can partner on, we're always open to that. And we're looking forward to this next year, just finding more ways to empower both of our groups and getting information out to our parents. Next slide, please. And so if you want more information about our Roy area PTA and PTSAs, FAR is a great bank of knowledge. And so here's some of her contact information. So go ahead and reach out to her, or let me know if you have any questions about anything that's happening in the Roy area. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Sade? Okay. Thank you again so much for sharing that with us. I am excited to introduce our next speakers. So Riley Nyman and Becca Crookston from Logan CTC.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, perfect. So my name is Riley Nyman, and I am the coalition coordinator for the Logan Communities That Care Coalition. I just wanted to give a brief introduction of who we are, since we are kind of new. We're located in the Bear River area, so northern Utah, and we cover Logan City specifically. So we have a lot of surrounding towns, but we're just focused on Logan City, specifically like Logan City School District boundaries. And that includes a few other like schools, like our technical college and all of that. But we are new. We're only almost about 2 years old, so everything we've done has been really recent. So that's just a little bit about who we are and where we're focused on. So I wanted Becca to share a little bit about our partnership with the PTA.
Sure. So my name is Becca Crookston, and I was actually reached out to by a previous our health commissioner from the PTA, that asked me to look into this. She said that there are some CTCs across, a way to prevention coalitions across the state, and a new one was coming up into Logan. And so as they were forming, could I be kind of on the ground watching for someone to help them? And so, like Julie said, we're kind of scrappy and we do all the things. And so I ended up as the chair of that coalition for a year. So I am interested in what was coming. It was new to us, and we were like starting from scratch, writing bylaws and all the things. But I have been in the PTA program for 19 years. And so I already knew the power of partnerships and how that can help people grow and help like lots of things, right? You don't have to do it all by yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to have that opportunity to make a partnership was so key. So that was interesting to me, and I was engaged in that. So I wanted to make sure that I was involved with making sure our areas nearby knew about this. At the time, I was a region director for the PTA, and so I had other schools that I was working with that I could help share this information. Like Riley said, we're right in Logan City, but we also have several new, also growing CTCs, which is communities that care, around us in those other areas too. So I was serving some areas that 3 of these brand new CTCs could help. And so I wanted to make sure I was helping get them the right information. So there's kind of a connection between this information here in the CTC world and in the PTA realm. So I was kind of helping make sure everybody had the right information through those in Cache District as well as the Logan District. So I had someone reach out to me as the leader in the PTA saying, hey, what do I do about this? I'm not quite sure how to help this process. I don't know what our next program should be, but I'd like to do something prevention for Red Ribbon Week. And she was at the middle school, so I connected Medina with our Utah PTA website toolkit for Red Ribbon Week, for all Ribbon Weeks. And so made sure she knew that we have that information there about Red Ribbon Week and what to do, some ideas for that, and then connected her with Riley to make sure she had the right information and who to connect with. So that's how Medina at the Mount Logan Middle School and Riley got connected, and I just made sure that they had that information to do the next step. Yeah, so the website is utahpta.org, and then if you just search Ribbon Week, it will show up all of our toolkits there. So Riley, do you want to talk about how you and Medina made this amazing week happen after your connections together?
Yes, thanks, Becca. You can switch to the next slide. So this was a little bit about what we did, but before I get into the day of event, like Becca said, I was able to connect with the PTSA president at Mount Logan Middle School. So she originally had reached out to me and wanted to set up a meeting, which I thought was a great first start, because she was able to kind of share her vision with me of what she wanted and how she really wanted to make Red Ribbon Week go from more of that spirit week, like crazy hair day and pajama day, to more of the prevention education part of Red Ribbon Week. So that was really cool to see, that people knew that there was more to it than just that fun spirit week. So during that first meeting, we kind of just talked about what we wanted to do, and she mentioned that it was a week long and that they were going to have activities at lunchtime during every single day. So we were only able to be there the first day because it was also the same week as fall conference. But we were there for that first day on Monday at lunchtime. And we kind of co-planned the event together. So it really wasn't one weighing heavier on the other. It was really combined and co-planned. And Medina knew that she really wanted to do these pledges. And we hear that all the time. We've been doing pledges for Red Ribbon Week for so long. But because she really wanted that evidence-based prevention, she asked how we could make it more than just, I pledge to say no to drugs, or I pledge to be drug-free. Because we know we need a little bit more than that, right? Sometimes that doesn't always work. So we had gone back and forth on these pledges for a couple of weeks. And the ones that we had finally came up with were, you can see them on that far left picture. I pledge to make healthy choices and keep my body and brain healthy. I pledge to honor my body and protect my future. I choose health, strength, and a bright future. So those were the pledges that we made. They weren't really focused on that drug or alcohol so much of Red Ribbon Week, but more of protecting our futures and protecting what we value and having these healthy futures. So that was kind of that prevention education that we were able to give the PTSA. Was that just saying no isn't always enough. That sometimes we need to go a little bit further and make these connections between these adults and the youth, whether it's teachers, the principals, or just community members, So as students came up to us, they were able to pick a pledge, and they did have to repeat it to us. And if they were able to do so, we started with cookies, but we actually ran out of the cookies really fast. So we had to switch to fruit snacks. But it was so awesome because all of these kids were coming up to us and making these pledges, and then students would come back with friends. Like I told them that they had to come do this. It's awesome. Maybe it was just for the cookie, but they were still getting that education and being able to make that pledge. Um, so it was a really good experience. It was really fun. They did this activity again on the last day of Red Ribbon Week. We just weren't able to be there as a coalition. But that picture, it's our PTSA and two of our coalition members. Becca is in the picture, as well as who was our secretary last year. Her name is Melissa. So that's kind of what the setup looked like. It was right outside the lunchroom. It was really fun. It was fun to be there and interact with these students and the PTSA. One thing I wanted to point out was this was one of the first things we did as a coalition. This was really, besides like our city events, which was really in the same month, this was the first time we had made a presence and had this connection with the PTA. So there were things that could have gone better, but overall, I think it went really well. Um, I would say what could make this better if you choose as a coalition to do something like this and do these pledges is to find out what's important to the youth. Because I think if we were to make pledges that revolved around what was important to them at the time, could have made a huge impact. I think what we did made a big impact, but I think that could have been even better getting the voices from the youth and what's important to them. Um, but yeah, it was super fun. It was really impactful. We were able to provide evidence-based prevention knowledge and education to the PTA and to the youth. So I think that's all we have, unless Becca has something extra to add.
I'll add one extra thing. We did learn as we went that there are quite a few Spanish speakers in this area. And so having them come up to read this pledge to us, even though they were in middle school, was very scary to them. And so their friends were like literally translating for them the pledge that was written there to say this, and then like they'd repeat it to us. And it was how amazing it was to have them like confident enough to then come back and say it to us, even though it wasn't something that was right there and easy to read for them. But we've learned on our side, like, okay, we'll have a Spanish translation, like we've learned along the way, but it was really touching to have them bring their friends back up and make sure that like they all got to have that way to participate. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Becca and Riley. Does anyone have any questions for Becca or Riley? And I feel like that always happens too. You'll spend months planning an event and then something will go wrong and you're like, no, and you have to pivot. But I think that's just the nature of the beast in prevention, isn't it? Like, it's been really hard for me because I'm a little bit of a control freak. And so when things go wrong, I'm like, I'm a failure. All right. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Let's move on to Erin Anderson from Weber CTC.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, so as Heidi said, we're at Weber CTC, which is in northern Utah. We service the towns of Pleasant View, North Ogden, Harrisville, and then the cities in Ogden Valley as well. And our cone is Weber High, and then the schools that fall into that. So, as a coalition, we have found that the PTA is one of the greatest resources that we have to tap into in our community for all the reasons that Julie mentioned and Sharday mentioned. They really are just such an important part of our coalition and an important part of partnership for sure. And I just wanted to mention before I got into some of the events that we've done with PTAs or partnered on, that we have someone in the PTA that sits on our key leader board, and then we have someone that sits on our community board as well, two different people. And we are always looking for more PTA members to join our coalition. And I'm sure I speak for all coalitions in the state when I say that. But they really have been just such the PTA's ability to mobilize information has been amazing. And so we're just so grateful for the PTAs. They truly are such a amazing resource. So anyways, so some of the events that we've done, many of the PTAs do family nights or education nights at their school. And so that is something that either the PTAs have reached out to us and asked us to help with in some way, or we've just asked if we can partner with them. One in particular, uh, we have provided family bonding kits to the school, and some of those events we've tabled at. If we weren't able to table at them, though, we've taken the kits to the school and put information in the kits about the importance of family bonding. Oftentimes, they've included games that the family can take home and play and bond together. And then another something that we've done is one of the schools in our area does a carnival. And so we've just partnered with them on the carnival. And some years that looked like showing up and being there physically with the table and passing out information, prevention information. And then other years when we didn't have the capacity to show up in person, we sponsored some sort of activity at the event. And then we had signs at the event that advertised our sponsorship, but also advertised prevention messaging and the importance of family bonding or what that could look like. And so that is how we've partnered with family nights or education nights with the school. Heidi, if you can go to the next slide, or whoever's doing that. Thank you. All right. I know a couple of people have already touched on Red Ribbon Week. We have only a couple schools actually in our area that are currently doing Red Ribbon Week, but some are doing Kindness Week. And Hope Week is also a really big initiative that is done in our area that really involves a lot of the community. And then so that has been a really great initiative for us to be a part of. And the school or the PTA has been they've taken the lead. They took the lead last year, and some years it's looked a little bit differently, but we've typically sat down with the PTA to talk about how we can contribute to that. And there are several events that week. And so we've tabled at some of those events. And then we've provided sponsorship through a speaker or shirts. But that's given us an opportunity to really share out information about substance prevention, but along with Hope Week is specifically Suicide Prevention Week, and so we've taken that opportunity to share both prevention messaging as well at that event. And then with Red Ribbon Week, we've just provided collateral that's Red Ribbon specific. Some years they've tabled, and other years like I mentioned it already, provided the collateral. As you can see, we've provided suckers before, or the lunchtime activities are typically going to the school. Sometimes we've been able to involve the youth council with that and just providing some sort of activity. Some of them are even similar to what Riley and Becca have done in Logan. And doing some sort of activity with the youth at the school. And most of the time, well, that's been junior highs or elementary schools. So, all right, if you don't mind moving to the next slide. Another great opportunity that we've had to sort of partner with the PTAs is with our Sharp Data Workshop. We invited many partners within different sectors in our community, but we did invite the PTA and we did have a really great turnout. And one of the reasons why we feel like that's such an important thing to bring them into was, of course, to hear their voice. That's incredibly important. Someone already mentioned that the PTA is really in the schools, and they're able to do that a little bit more than us as a coalition can do that, quite a bit more, actually. And so hearing their voice at our Sharp Data workshops as we've looked over the Sharp data and tried to find priority areas of focus for our coalition has just been really important to hear their perspectives. But we've also realized that just because some just because the PT is in the schools, they don't necessarily always have a clear picture of the sharp data. And so helping them, we had our RP work group chair come in and do this workshop, and she did a fabulous job. It was Amanda Jones, for those of you who know her, but there was very much an educational piece of the sharp data workshop. And so she came in and really educated, was able to help the people who attended, who wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity to deep dive into the sharp data, and then they were able to see what we're able to do with it in the community and why that data is so important to the work that we do. So that is actually all I have to share. But yeah.
Thanks, Erin. That's such a cool idea. I wrote that down, like inviting your PTA to be part of your Sharps work group. Like, so smart. I never even thought about that before, but it's just kind of a natural partnership. Like, very cool. I had a question. I want to know what the spotlight picture was about.
Okay, that is a part of our Red Ribbon Week, and they shine a spotlight on the mountain, that's Ben Lomond Mountain,
Uh-huh.
that's in our community. And a lot of our youth council actually hiked up as part of it, but it's just part of the suicide prevention and suicide
Oh,
awareness. Yeah,
what a cool idea. Very cool. Thank you. Does
So
anyone else have any
it is a
questions?
really cool.
just so they call it the light so that everyone's focused on, and they ask the entire community to shut off all their lights. So like I just get emotional. The first time they did it, I like bawled, but all the lights are off. And then you see the light, and I don't know if Jill's on here right now. Jill's been hiking up that freaking mountain every time. It's not a small hike. I'm like, you're insane. Jill, you're insane. You're great. But
It's
like,
only 8 miles. It's fine.
but like that's what it is. So it's a very much a community event to focus on that, and that there is that light and that hope. Sorry. I just wanted to share that. I love that little thing. It's not very expensive.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Susanna.
Heidi, they want you to go back to the spotlight picture so they can
Oh, okay.
referencing. Thank you.
Can I go back? Go back. Aha! Bottom right. Isn't that cool?
So we actually started the spotlight during COVID as a way to do something for our community where everyone could be distanced. And everyone loved it so much. It's continued every year since then.
What a cool community tradition. I like it. Awesome. Thanks, Erin. All right. Last but certainly not least are the awesome folks from Bonneville CTC. So we've got Jill Ramage and Christy Bell.
Hello, so I think I'm starting. So I'm Jill Ramage, and I was working last year at Riverdale Elementary as their Title I teacher leader, which is just a support position for Title I schools to give them a little extra help. But I have also worked with the Weber CTC for probably the past 6 years in various capacities. So because I have a little bit of knowledge of both the school and the CTC, we were able to come together and form a pretty cool partnership that we're going to talk about today. But I found that probably one of the biggest roadblocks that I've come into is CTCs really want to work with schools, and schools really need help with a lot of things, but both don't really know how to come together and how to help each other and who can do what. So that's kind of what we worked with our wonderful partnership here that I'll tell you about. So Heidi, if you could go to the next slide. We started the year last year knowing that we needed to plan 2 community nights. Every Title I school is required to have 2 community engagement nights throughout the year. But we also knew that we wanted to be really intentional about our community nights, and we wanted to make them something that was meaningful and beneficial to our community. So we did a little bit of a data dive and looked at our SHARP data. We also looked at our Panorama data, which is another SEL data source. We looked at our office referrals and gathered all of that together and found that the highest risk factors that we were wanting to work on were parental attitudes favorable to antisocial behavior, as well as rebelliousness. And we really wanted to bolster the opportunities for pro-social involvement. And so we decided that we were going to do a literacy night surrounding the book Wonder. You go to the next one. So having a history with the CTC and kind of knowing what they could help with, I contacted Christy Bell and told her about the risk factors that we were wanting to work on and the community night that we were wanting to plan, and asked if they could help us with any way. And she so graciously came to meet with me and heard all of my ideas, and they agreed to fund our little project and bought a wonder book for every family in our school. And so what we decided to do was send those books home at the beginning of winter break. So we wrapped them all. Every family had a Christmas gift from the school and from the Bonneville CTC that was their wonder book. The Bonneville CTC made cute little bookmarks that went inside the books that had some ideas for family bonding. We also sent some pictures of some worksheets of activities they could do, like a kindness bingo and a save the date card that we wanted them to read the book with each other over the break and over the next couple of months. And we were going to have a family bonding event in the spring to do some activities surrounding the book. So you can see there, the bottom picture, we held a community night in the spring after everyone had had a chance to read the book. And all of the activities that we had at our community night were surrounding kindness and inclusion and things that they could do as a family to bond together. We fed them, so they had a free meal there. We actually had grilled cheese sandwiches, because if you've read Wonder, you know that that's Augie's favorite food. And we had creamies because he loves ice cream as well. But the kids could go throughout the school with their families and do different activities like make friendship bracelets and kindness cards for people in their family. If you've read the book, you know that one of the teachers is into precepts, which are words to live by. So we had a big precept wall that they could write positive notes down and look at each other's positive notes. And then, of course, we had the Bonneville CTC there with their booth where they were giving out information and resources. They were able to talk to a lot of families about the parent nights that they had coming up and different things that were going on in the community that they were sponsoring. And I think when all was said and done, we figured that we had about 450 people attend that night, which was pretty awesome. If you go to the next slide, there's just some pictures of our event. You can see some of the different activities there. The Roadrunner banner is our Roadrunner precepts, where they wrote with Sharpie on the banner about all of the positive things they were thinking and some of the activities they were involved with. The one at the bottom with the Wonder book, when they were done with all of their activities, they had a little punch card and they came to the front and they got to put those in a drawing for some additional family bonding activities. So that's what that is. Our night was so successful and we had such great feedback that the Bonneville CTC decided that they wanted to expand it a little bit. So I'll let Christy talk about that.
Great. Thank you, Jill. So wonderful. I love this program so much. So I don't know what more I can add to what Jill said, other than I want to take a moment and highlight the power of what happens when schools and prevention coalitions can come together with a shared purpose. But as Jill said, Riverdale Elementary, they did something amazing. They looked at their data and saw that it aligned with the risk and protective factors that we focused on, and they reached out to us. So our community board after that worked together and we aligned their idea with our existing action plan. Because their goals fit well with ours, we were able to fund it. But it wasn't just about handing over the funding. We made it a true partnership with Riverdale. We worked together to make sure the idea addressed the key elements that we needed to show in our logic model, that we reduced risk factors like low commitment to school and increased protective factors like family bonding, pro-social involvement, and school attachment, all of which are our identified factors that we focus on with our coalition. So it was clear that the family time literacy that Riverdale Elementary was focusing on checked all of those boxes. And also we identified a way to incorporate the Talk They Hear You campaign. So we were able to bring in some of the evidence-based literature that we could send home with their information brochures. And each book was sent home with those in it, ensuring that all the pieces of the partnership were working together. And the result, our key leaders, they didn't just approve of the project, they loved it. They said, let's take this to every elementary school in all 4 of our cities. So we reached out to each of the elementary principals and they jumped on board. Riverdale Elementary wanting to partner with us, it's blown open the door for our coalition to have upstream prevention and to get in every elementary school, which is kind of a roadblock that our coalition has had for years, is how do we get into the elementary schools where we can do a lot of good with our upstream prevention. That partnership, so it made it possible that we provided 2,047 Wonder Books. So, which means that over 2,000 families had access to the same family bonding activity, regardless of their income, and it removed a possible barrier. So everybody was on the same level playing field to participate in this activity. And then, thanks to our youth coalition, they spent hours prepping and stuffing those books, and it became a true community effort, one that all youth of all of the ages in our community have benefited from. And then the cherry on top was, and you can see in the pictures that we have there, is, well, let me back up before that. Just like Riverdale did, and we didn't ask each of the elementaries to do their own family bonding night, but they loved the program so much that they wanted to do their own. So just like Jill showed you, each one of those schools kind of partnered or patterned after what Riverdale did, and each of them have had their own Wonder-themed family night at each of their schools. And then after all of that was said and done, we brought all of the community together. We invited all the schools to come together for one celebration to really hit home the community connectiveness and that protective factor that we wanted to focus on. And historically, our participation for community events has been pretty low. So we didn't know what to expect. We were a little bit nervous, but we'd seen how well each of the elementaries did on their own. So we planned for 400 people to feed 400 people. We invited Brad Barton, who tailored his message around the Wonder Book themes and the family and the inclusiveness and the kindness, and peppered in some of his magic that he does. And we planned for 400, but then we heard more were coming. So then we panicked and we got another 200 Chick-fil-A sandwiches. So we had, just kidding, 700. So I did my math wrong. But we had 700 sandwiches. We fed 600 people and then a couple got extras. So we had historically maybe 30, 40 people show up, and we blew that up to at least 600, which is wonderful. It was incredible change for our coalition. And then we also made it so that we wanted our community leaders to be involved. Our mayors from each of our 4 cities showed up, and they had their own booths at the back of the auditorium and swag, that fun swag that the kids wanted, but they couldn't just have it. They had to actually go talk to their mayors of each of their cities and get to know them and learn about them. And the mayors had a great time handing out that swag and getting to know people and helping with that connectiveness. And the cities were also able to give out more information about things that were going on in the summer that the families could get involved with. So it just kind of brought it full circle for family bonding at home, at the school, and at a community level. We did surveys, they came back better than we'd hoped for, and they improved on all of the protective factors that we were focused on, which makes us all obviously very happy. And so it just shows that is the power of a partnership, that one school's great idea shared it with our coalition and turned it into something that's making a lasting impact. Because we just got approval to bring it back for next year. So we're super excited. The schools are all on board, and we're ready to do this again with a new book. So that's what we're looking forward to, all because of Jill. Thank you, Jill.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Christy. Does anyone have any questions for any of the folks that spoke today? Okay. Well, if it's okay with everyone, we'll share the slides and, of course, the recording and maybe the contact information for all our presenters in case you do think of something. That's usually what happens to me as I'm drifting off to sleep at night. I'll be like, I should have asked this. And then
There was a question in the chat
oh,
about
awesome.
let's see, a master contact list for PTAs. Julie, are you still on here? Maybe Julie would know.
I am on. Our bylaws prohibit us from giving a master list out, but if a local coalition would like to reach out, I can at least provide you with region contact information, and then they will be able to connect you with schools within that region.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
Anyone else have any burning questions? If not, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to our PTA partners and our awesome coalition coordinators for taking time out of your busy schedule to present to the group. Like, we really, really appreciate it. And we'll be back to our normal third Wednesday of the month at noon for our August webinar, and Benet Larson from NAMI will be presenting on some really cool strategies that they're working on in the suicide prevention coalition, and some strategies that you could do in your community. So hope to see you then. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Have a good day.